Let's talk more about this and trying to understand what really makes a protest or a movement successful. Now, you as a reporter must be covering many protests around the world, also those that took place before 2019 and those that didn't result in the desired outcome. What trends have you observed which work and which don't?
Well, basically, as John said, you need to have a centralized leadership, or at least a group of people who form a council that speak in the name of the revolution, or basically, or the riots, or the movement itself. The idea is that when it starts spontaneous and you have hundreds of thousands of people on the street and everybody has their own demand, and most of the people are talking about their personal expertise and like what's happening to them, you can't unify it in one, like basically paper and then tell the government at one point, this is what we want. So what's needed for any movement to succeed is basically having a centralized command, or at least 3 or 4 people who can form a council that can speak in the name of that revolution or movement. And at the same time, they have to unify and filter their demands in a manner that's basically realistic. Of course, some people would be demanding things that are completely unrealistic, like the resignation of a whole parliament and the government and the president at the same time. And then basically, who's going to oversee the reforms if you're going to have all these people resign? So at one point or another, you need to have a transitional government at one point. You need to oversee new elections, and then basically you can start implementing reforms. The idea is that, as John said, it's across the world. You have revolutions that have failed because they didn't have that, and also because their demands were unrealistic, or at one point or another, it's also an element of time. Some governments bank on the element of time. People get bored after one point. They need to feed their children, so they can't stay on the streets for a long time. You can stay for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 1 year, but for how long will you stay without any payment and feeding your children?